Well, Paul, new season's upon us. Are you ready to go all over again?
Yeah, it's been a reasonable break and been a longish pre-season, so to speak. So I think we're as near to being ready as every other manager will say. You might as well crack on, really. Might as well get on with it. The lads have looked okay, and we obviously still need to improve a little bit, but it's about getting the best out of our group, and I think the lads have a good understanding of how we want to play. So, yeah, might as well crack on and meet the real bull, as they say.
How do you look back on pre-season then? Because you've had the lads in from the start of July, so just over a month.
Yeah, pretty horrific, and then it came a little bit better. I mean, I've said this in a million interviews, as you well know, because you hear me moan all the time. Pre-season for a manager ain't great. It's great in the fact that you just meet new people, get new people involved in your culture, try and get them integrated. They're the most important things. Try and get them as fit as you can without injuring them. That is a difficult task because there's always an invisible line. You don't know where that is, especially with new players. And then you have to play where people watch you. And that's where we possibly let ourselves down. We weren't amazing in all the games. We were all right in a few, and the latter two we were good. So on the whole, I think we come into the season with obviously confidence of last season. We're trying to do something decent this year, and I'm happy with the new additions, and I'm happy with the group. I'd be lying if I didn't say I wanted to win every pre-season game 4-0 and never make a mistake, but that has never happened in the history of football. So I think I'm the same as every other manager in this league, reasonably happy, but not fully sure on what you've got. And that's the truth, because every pre-season game, you play an opposition that may play a different shape, different team. They might have trialists. You might have your own players who aren't as up for certain games. It's just not a fair reflection of where you're at, whereas the usual speech from a manager is, judges after 5-10 games. But as a pre-season as a whole, it was good. Don't get me wrong, it was good. And we got some bodies in early, which helped. And then we start the season, obviously, Friday in a pretty upbeat manner, because why wouldn't you be?
I was going to say, how do you sort of assess the mood? And you said everyone's upbeat. Yeah. Do people get too obsessed with the opening game of the season and like, what's the team going to be and things like that when it's just one of 46?
Yeah, maybe. As a player you do, because you want to be in that first team, because all your family and that are looking forward to the game. So there's a massive part of your own ego wants to be involved in the first game, and I understand that. After that I don't. I have zero sympathy, but the lads have all had a really good opportunity to get themselves in the team, so everyone's virtually had the same game time, so there can't be many complaints. But yeah, there is an obsession from the players, definitely. I understand that. I was obviously a player, so I do get that. And I remember I changed clubs to another club. The manager took me, and the first game of the season I wasn't playing. I was raging, and internally raging, not one of these children raging. And then fortunately for me, the player who had my position got injured on the day before the game, and then I got in the team and never came out of it. So I'm also aware of the fact that, look, it's just for the first minute of the first game of the season, these players are playing, and I say this to the lads all the time. The second game will be different, the third game, the fourth game will be different. That's just how it is. So it is a big deal. The other thing is that if you win the first game, doesn't mean you win the championship, and if you lose the first game, it doesn't mean you're relegated. So there's a sort of like, it just, the first few games, everyone's hypersensitive because the lads haven't played for a bit, people haven't seen them as much. So everything's a bit more in the lens, I suppose. I mean, the advantage is the Olympics are going on at the moment as well, so we can sneak under the radar.
Derby County and sneak under the radar, I don't think, unfortunately, happens. You've done it 4 times now in terms of getting promoted from League One. What do you feel are the biggest challenges going from the 3rd tier up to the Championship?
Yeah, good question. There's massive differences. One of the biggest things is athleticism, I think, and I presented this to the board near the end of the season. The athleticism of the players, the speed they can run at, everything is obviously intensified, as it is again if you step to the Premier League. From League 2 to League 1, I don't think there's a massive difference, but from League 1 to the Champ, and apart from Ipswich, really, in the last 6 years, 7 years, I think we found out that the teams that get promoted are, you know, more often than not finishing the bottom 6. Because the step up is big, so you have to sign players that can athletically handle. I know it's the same sport, but you know, if I'm marking you and you're significantly quicker than me, which you're not, but if you were,
that is true.
if you were, it makes my life harder, doesn't it? So it's the athleticism which is a massive part. That is, and obviously there's an increase in quality. So I think in League One, we don't joke about it, but if in League Two you give up 5 good chances, 1 might go in. In League One, you give up 5 good chances, you know, 2 or 3 might go in at the worst case. If you give 5 chances up in the Champ, there's a good chance they'll score 3 or 4. So, you know, your attention to detail, mistakes get punished more because the players are significantly better. And if you look at the teams that are in the Champ, apart from the 3 that have come down and the 3 that have gone up, you know, the other 18 who are established championship teams, I think the other difference is that their strength of bench is frightening. I mean, I love 9 on the bench. I'm not moaning about that. But if you look at the start and lineups for everyone this weekend, but you actually look at what they've also got on the bench, they've got, you know, 20 solid championship players. And when you go up, you have to try and sign as many players as you can who can hopefully play at that level. So the athleticism and obviously the quality, I'm not telling you something you don't already know, but it's the athleticism that scares me the most. You play against the Leeds team, for example, their front line is just beyond rapid. So you just got to be careful of things like that.
But in terms of your team, what sort of key elements do you feel that served you so well last year that you will require again in the Championship?
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, a lot of the attributes we had as a team, you're going to need at any level. So you still need to be very good on set pieces, defending and attacking. You have to be very well coached and organised out of possession. You have to be very good on the transitions and the counter, which, for example, at the moment we seem to have a lot of pace at the top end of the pitch, which helps. And of all the non-negotiables, as always, as every team will have, but you know, you've got to stay with your runner, you have to be touch tight on throw-ins, all them little ugly things which aren't fun to coach. They're the things that take a rubbish team to a good team, or a good team to a great team, or a great team to an excellent team. You just have to be really good on the things that you can control. Look, if someone bends one in from 30 yards, an absolute screamer, there's not much you can really change on that. I mean, some clever person would say, oh, you should have closed him down or something, but generally speaking, there is class things that happen in football matches that are very difficult to stop, but the ones you can control, you just have to be really good at. And last year we were really good at the controllables, so hopefully we can be a level up similar.
Just one on yourself. This game will be 100th in charge of Derby. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Since Jim Smith in the mid-90s, there's only 2 other managers in a single spell in charge of Derby that have achieved that. So it's a nice little milestone. I know you probably won't look at it too much, but it's nice to hit that sort of number. And when you came in, you talked about how proud your dad would have been about the fact that you're managing Derby County. You've certainly hit a great number.
Yeah, it's a massive honour. I've never made any qualms about managing this great football club. It's a massive honour. Get to 100 games is an achievement. I remember when I turned pro as a player, I thought, wow, if I have 1 game, that'd be good. If I got to 10, wow. And then you think 50, 100. In management, I don't sort of think of it like that. The one thing that has brought to my attention, if I'm one of the 3rd longest or whatever in recent times, it means this is the hottest of hot seats, which I don't know if you meant it to come across like that. I'm thinking,
absolutely not.
So at least I get to 100 and 101, the Chesterfield game, that'd be good. So it is an honour, and we work really hard and diligently to try and take this club to where it wants to go. And I'm doing a speech today or tomorrow with the lads about the history of this club. I want them to understand the past, the present, and the future where this club's going. So I'm doing a lot on the previous great teams, which I've learnt about. I've heard about the Real Madrid and the ref and all that. So I'm now write a verse. I could write a book. So yeah, so massive honour for me. But it's not me. It's the players that have performed at a level, and it's my staff and my coaches and everyone. So I'm just the one who has the joy of talking each week, but it's everybody at the football club, so I'd like to thank everyone.
Blackburn on Friday night then at Ewood Park, what are you expecting from them under John Eustace?
Yeah, well, John's teams are always well organised, not dissimilar to ours really. Defensively always very solid, very hard to break down. They'll be wanting to start the season on a home win, quite obviously. They've brought some new additions in recently. brought a striker in. There's all this thing about, you know, who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, and all we can do is prepare for how we think they're going to play, and it's a big if. If you watched us in all the pre-season games, I think we've literally played every system there is out there, so, you know, all the best trying to guess how we're going to play as well. So it's a little bit of, until the season gets going, a little bit of guesswork. You think certain players are going to play in certain positions, but he does have a certain style to his teams, as we do. So I think we're obviously well prepared for a tough game. Obviously, every game in every sport is a tough game, but the opening one, when the home fans are, you know, all pleased, turn up, sunny evening, no doubt. But yeah, a really tough game. There isn't an easy start. I wouldn't say this is an easy or a hard start. I think all the games in the Champ are very difficult, and the early ones even more so from a tactical point of view, because you're giving the lads quite a bit of information, which, in fairness, you don't know will be. So we can tell them the team we think is going to be, how we think they're going to look. It could be 6 changes from that Friday night. They could play a different shape, and you're like, oh my days. So it is a bit strange going into the first game. It always feels a bit strange, but then it also feels exciting. We don't know if we're going to turn up, see our team win 3-0, lose 3-0, draw 0-0, that everyone turns off at half time. You just don't know, and that's the excitement of live sport and being involved in elite sport. That's what keeps you ticking over.
Spoke to you lastly before the Wigan home game last year for the opener, and you said that you were superstitious. So I feel like I have to ask you the last question again about the fans. They were a sort of key part of the journey that you were on last year. Yeah. It's a different journey this year, but what sort of message would you give to them, or I guess highlight just how important they're going to be all over again?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to message fans because I always feel like you sound like a bit of a preacher, like, oh, the manager's now telling us what he wants us to do. I think fans are obviously essential, right? And they are a big part of the theatre of football. That's why it's exciting. So if you watch the game and there's no fans there, the game looks rubbish. Fact, you know, the COVID games look, you know, if you watched them, you like pretend they were interesting, but they weren't. The fans are the colour of the sport, the noise of the sport. The brilliant thing for us in the Championship, I think, and I think I spoke to a group of sponsors the other night about it, was the away fans. Our away fans are phenomenal. So I've got a RamsTV have kindly put together loads of Rams away fans last year for me to show in a meeting tomorrow to the new lads. Really, look, listen, these are all the people who are right behind you. So you've got to give them something to shout and scream about. So I'm doing that tomorrow. But it's more about the fact that at home, the away fans come to Pride Park, they don't come in like 40, 50 people. They're going to come in 2,000 and 3,000. So that means our fans have something to sing at. And this happens at every club where if they bring like 6 people and a dog to it, it's like, well, we're not going to sing songs at them. So I feel like the atmosphere at home will be electric. And I've said this on many an interview, not the mindset change, but the atmosphere at the club at the end of the season with flags and noise help the lads tenfold. And you can ask a player that, and you know, it's hard to as a manager to bang the drum about please be behind the lads, because obviously fans will be like, yeah, but they need to perform. I understand that, but it's a massive boost when you feel like you've got everyone behind you. And our away support last year was like literally fundamental to our success. And it sounds a bit mean, but if we would have won promotion away from home, as amazing as it was at Pride Park, it would have been amazing away from home, because all the people who have travelled to the Exeters and the Bristol Rovers and that played a massive part in the lads' success. So again, I appreciate the support. Obviously, the lads appreciate the support. And please stay with them, because they'll be, you know, as with every team. I think Norwich got in the playoffs last year, and you can check this, at 16 wins or 18 wins. So a lot of teams lose a lot of games in this league. That is how it is. A lot of teams beat a lot of teams. So you just stay with the team and support them as best you can, because hopefully they will give you the performances that everyone wants to see.